So last night was the hardest pizza night or pizza day I've had. The weather was horrendous. It was gale force winds, torrential rain, and the logistics, the pizzas themselves were great, but everything around it was just carnage. And it made me really reflect on the business, and I had to draw on a lot of stuff to sort of get me motivated again. So this video is about 10 things that I've learned along the way, and this is reality. I'm not doing this for views, and if I can help one person out, I'm happy. If you're questioning whether things are normal or not, or if you're doing a bad job, you might be able to relate to some of this, even if you're not in a food business. I think this will apply to any small business. So let's get into it. Number one, most of the job that you end up doing isn't the job that you set out to do. So when I do the pizza business week in, week out, I spend roughly 30 hours a week on the business. 7 of those hours, 23% of that time is spent serving pizza, which is crazy low. I spend 7 hours a week actually doing the job that I set out to do. The rest of it is trying to get everything set up and set the stage for that to happen. Logistics, shopping, making dough like I'm doing now, speaking to customers, dealing with orders, pre-orders, everything that goes around it. Don't underestimate how much time you'll be doing, but you're supporting the business. No one else is going to do it. The buck stops with you. You do learn very quickly that only a small percentage, and in my case it's about a quarter, is actually spent serving pizzas. Try not to let that make you think that you're doing something wrong, because you're not. That's how it is. If you want the business to develop, you have to do social media. You have to have a website, you have to do the ordering, you have to do the washing up, you have to do everything. You have to do 6 people's jobs in one. I'm probably spending a quarter of my time because there's 4 other people's jobs that I'm doing, but it's normal. Number 2, creating a business is lonely. It's a lonely place to be. Even if you start it with other people, if it's your passion, no one will share that passion as much as you. You're lucky if they do, they might share the passion, but it's likely that not even your friends, your family will share your level of passion. You're going to be thinking about it all the time. What can you do next? How can you develop? What can you be doing better? What happened last night? That person said this thing, and what did it mean? No one's going to be thinking about that as much as you. And it's very easy to take that personally. You might think, well, they don't care as much as I do, or they're not as interested as I am. But that's not the case. You might have people turn up to work for you and they only think about your business when they're working there. They go home, they couldn't give a monkeys. And that's normal, that's absolutely fine. You might have had a desk job before. I know there's a lot of jobs out there that you have to take home. People go to work, they think about the job there, they go home, they couldn't care less. You're the one that is developing the business. It's a lonely place to be sometimes because you do feel like you're on your own, but if you've got people around to support you, that's great. My friends and family always say, how's the pizzas going? And I can't say to them, God, what do you think about doing a 64% hydration instead of a 63? Because last week I found this, and they don't care because they haven't been there processing the years beforehand of dough. They don't care. So don't take that personally, normal. Number 3, consistency beats talent. If you make the best pizza in the world, but you don't show up, doesn't matter. So last night, in the middle of all the chaos, we had a guy that came down and he said, I really appreciate you being here tonight, even in this weather. I've been thinking about my order for at least 3 days and I've been looking forward to this. And I could tell he'd had a really tough day. And I said, do you want a buzzer to sit in the car? Because we give out buzzers so people can stay warm and dry in their cars. And the gazebo was doing this and the wind was coming in, there's rain coming in. And he just wanted to sit in the chaos, just stand there amongst it all and have a chat. You know, you can just pick up off people if they've had a hard time and had a hard day. What I realized was I underestimate how much customers appreciate us. We appreciate customers massively because they're spending their money. I think what we look for is for them to go on Google and go, best pizza I've ever had, 5 stars. Really, how they communicate their appreciation is by showing up, by buying our products and by saying thank you for showing up. What more can we ask for? If I hadn't been there last night, and it was 50-50 whether or not we went ahead. If I hadn't have been there, he would have driven there. He might not have seen the Facebook post where I might have said cancelled. He might have turned up, and then he'd been looking forward to that pizza for 4 days, and it might have just been ruined. And what would he have done? He would have thought, well, where do I go now? And he would have gone to someone that did show up, and he would have got, yeah, the pizza wouldn't have been as good, but he would have got a reliable, trustworthy meal. By all means, cancel if it's dangerous, and if you can't do it, fine. But if there are nights where you just can't be bothered, or if the rain's a little bit annoying, just remember that there might be people that are looking forward to having your product and that really appreciate you being there. So number 4. I mean, number 3, I was just bigging up the customers and being nice, but number 4 is that the customers don't actually care how much work you put in. It doesn't make any difference. They'll eat the pizza or whatever you're making and they'll go, that was nice. They don't care that you've put 30 hours into it. And you can't say. You do realise that dough's been proven for 24 hours and it's actually got 6.9 grams of yeast in it, and instead of 6.5 last week, because the air temperature is a bit higher, so I've just tweaked it to get a little bit more air in there. You do realise that. You can't say that, but they do know that there's something special about it. When you put all of this hard work in, it does translate into a good product. Keep doing it. Even if people aren't saying anything, they're not going to care how much work you put in, but it does translate. Number 5, you can do everything right, everything absolutely spot on, and still have a bad night. Sometimes it's down to luck. You might have a really bad night and think, this isn't for me, can't do this anymore. But really, it's not your fault. You might have done everything absolutely right. And if you just move that day, a day forward, you might have had the best night ever. Sell out, loads of appreciation, people booking a wedding off the back of your pizza. It's just down to luck. That's all it is. Sometimes you can't beat yourself up. It's just down to luck. Number 6, and this one follows straight on from number 5. If you do have a bad night, sometimes they're actually better than the good nights because you learn so much. If you have a bad day, and this is relevant to any business, if you have a bad day, think about, or even just sit and write down what happened. How is it bad? And how are you going to deal with that? Last night, for example, it wasn't bad. We sold 23 pizzas, I think. Overall, good night. We were reliable. We were there, we showed up, customers came down. It was a bad night because it was physically difficult. If I was setting up on my own, the gazebos would have blown away without doubt, and I would have just had an absolute train wreck. So I learned that if I was going to do that again, my absolute limit, I would say, would be 45 miles an hour gusts. The rain is not too bad, but it makes packing up really difficult. And I'd need at least one person to help me set up, be in the gazebo with me at all times. Because if it starts to lift, or if a side comes off, or things start going wrong, and you're in the middle of making a pizza or doing something else and you can't quickly grab onto something, you need that other help. This is what I've learned. Those bad days are more valuable than the good days. The good days are rewarding. They tell you you're doing a good job. Brilliant. Good days are great. Love good days, but you need the bad ones to help you develop. Number 7, most progress feels boring. So when you first start out, progress is like that. It's so instant. You're setting up your social media, setting up websites, you've got your products, you've got all your new kit, you go out and do your first event, you sell 10 pizzas, it's amazing. You get followers on Instagram, you get comments, you start doing your reels. It's all so instant. After 3 years, progress is really invisible because you go and do it and you're thinking about what's the next thing and you don't realise it. But when you think about it, you need to think, oh, actually, I've done this recently, which has saved me an hour setting up. That's progress. You need to try and recognise the progress. You might feel stuck, but every time, if you improve 1%, 2%, it does add up. Every single time you go out and do what you do, and you make it slightly better, that progress over time is massive. If someone visited you on your first night, and then they came back after a year and visited you, they'd be like, wow, that's a different business. But you don't really notice it. Try and recognize the little wins. Number 8, which is linked to number 7. If you don't look back and appreciate and celebrate your progress, it will never feel like enough. You're always going to be looking for the next thing. If you're on your first night or if you're on your 10th year, if you've had your first event and you've sold a pizza, that's huge. If you're in your 10th year and you've sold a pizza, that's huge. I can look back now and think of my first event and how nerve-wracking it was and how happy I was to start selling a pizza or 2 or 3. I can think about my first wedding booking and how we handled it and how excited I was to have that booking and how much I appreciated someone booking us for a wedding. This year I've got 10 to do. We sell 100 pizzas a week, but sometimes it's not enough. I'm thinking, well, what's next? I need this, I need that. I need a horse box, I need a van. Well, really, I need to appreciate what I've got now. So wherever you are in business, you need to celebrate that. If you've sold a pizza, congratulations. If you've sold 1,000, congratulations. No one is going to do this for you. When you're employed and you're in someone else's business, they might say to you, you've worked really hard recently and you've come a long way since you started. Well done, really appreciate that. No one's going to do that. You have to do it for yourself. You have to be the one to give yourself an appraisal. It's crazy, right? But you have to do it, you have to go. If I went back a year today and looked at my photos, I'd see where I was and I could compare that to where I am now and think, yeah, brilliant, good work. So just recognize your own progress. Number 9, again, relevant to any business. Your business will test you before any success. Another example is back again when you're first starting out, it's a massive test. You're trying to get everything set up, you're trying to set up your systems, you're trying to get everything to work. It's stressful, it's a test. Some people fail at that point, it's too much. Give up, it's not worth it. But after that, you have the success. A lot of people fail here before it goes up. At the moment, we're going through this winter period. It's a test. It's not fun. It is fun in the service bit. It's packing down, setting up, wind, rain, being wet all the time, achy, dark. It's a test because I know in the summer, it's gonna be fantastic. It's such a nice thing to do. But we've just started these 2 new locations. We're developing relationships with customers that are gonna be there in the summer, plus a load more. And I can have a chat with them and we get to know each other. And that's the hard work now. In the summer, that's gonna be great. It doesn't matter what phase you are in your business. If it's a tricky phase, just think that's the test. After that, always comes success in some way, shape or form. And lastly, number 10, never forget the reason why. Why are you doing the business? I'm doing this business because I'm passionate about making the best pizza that I can. I could say I'm doing it for the money, but I'm not. Otherwise I'd be buying the cheapest ingredients. I'd be buying pre-made dough. I wouldn't put any effort into it apart from the effort that makes me money. If you're running that business, absolutely fine, do that. That's your reason why. Hold on to that reason why. If you're running it because you're passionate about making a good product, don't let that slip, because it's very easy to be tempted into shortcuts, cheap ingredients, things that make life easier. Your passion is what originally took you into that business, and it does translate into the product. When people buy something that's made with passion, or if they speak to you at an event, or if they want to book you for a wedding, that passion is going to come through. Hold on to that why. It's so important. If you do find yourself looking back over the last few years and thinking, that's nowhere near as good as it was a year ago, then have you lost that why? Try and keep it in mind. So that's my bit of reflection for today. And if you've got any tips or advice to give other people who are watching this video in the comments, then please, by all means, whack it in. And I mean, I'd be looking forward to learn from you guys as well. And if you're the one person that I set out to help and I've helped, then let me know in the comments. It'd mean a lot to me. So I'm gonna get on with making my dough, get back on it tomorrow, get out there, sell pizza. It's not as windy and rainy, so it should be all right. And I'll see you on the next one.